Okay. So good morning, everyone. I hope and trust you've had a great week. Uh, so we'll start. Let's see if we have any questions. I think the last couple of sessions we've had, we've talked about what's going on in America, especially the political front and what that means and how this thing is causing a lot of excitement and so we are in the midst of that still. See if we have any questions on any of that or anything else that may have caught your attention during the course of the week. Anyone?
Ron, good morning. This is Barbara.
Hey, Barbara. Good
Um,
morning.
uh, Good morning, everyone. I've been looking back at some of our previous notes, and I've not really gotten through them,
Uh-huh.
but there are a couple that I think might be useful for us to reflect on as we think about now, right now.
Good.
Um, if you'll remember in 2015 when we were at a teacher's session, we talked about um, racism and the flag has to come down at the
Mm-hmm.
Capitol in Columbia. And as we spoke, we said, okay, we said it's done. The universe is done. Even though the flag was still up at the time, we said spiritually it's done. As we continued the conversation as we spoke, I think it was Miss Phoebe let Pastor know that somebody was taking the flag, a woman and a man, a black woman and a white guy were taking the flag down in Columbia. As we spoke, the spiritual was already done, but the physical was simply a manifestation of what had already occurred spiritually. You follow what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay, so now we're continuing on. In June of 2022, we talked about the fact that we must redeem the earth. That's what the African was brought to do, and that the energy in this earth was never experienced before is the African, the energy force that's desirous for mankind. We are the nation born on the water, our pastor said this, who refuse to die, and we must free those who think they have us in bondage. 722, we talked about trust who you be, not what you see. Because stuff was happening all around us. We were talking about floods, we were talking about fires, we were talking about everything, volcanoes, we were talking about everything. But we were reminded to trust who we be, not what we see. We also, in July 22, Pastor is talking about a major transitional period, that we were in a major transitional period. And the statement was made, none of us are free until all of us are free. Nobody is free until the consciousness of Africa, the African consciousness is free. We need to be, we talked about needing to be more observant of nature and the sky, because we will begin to receive more signs of what's to come that will guide us. And all of us, since that time, our discussions have been replete with people saying what signs in nature they have been seeing. In July of 22, we also said, in August of 20, we said we will see a major shift that everyone will experience. And if the shift is impeded in any way, we will see death of energy of the leadership on a greater scale. Anything that's impeding that, anything that's impeding the energy of what needed to, of spirituality. So, in September, the Queen died.
Mm-hmm.
That was the next month. And we were saying that this was sort of she was a reflection of white supremacy in a way, because she really was dominated by white males and colonialism from decades and centuries before. Britain was the colonial colonialists. Britain colonized lots of colonies, lots of places, and even now, even America was a colony. So even now, Britain still controls colonies. But we said we are light bearers of the universe to humanity. So then Kathy talked about something, a revelation that she had about a certain number, and I can't find that, where she talked about President Biden would not complete another term or something to that effect. But there have been so many things that we've been talking about, and then as we got closer now, people started feeling dis-ease, discomfort, and on several occasions, our lessons included reminding people, trust who you be, not what you see. Reminding people that all of this is in the macro, it's in the universe. All of this is already spiritually happened, and we are just simply waiting for the physical manifestation of that spiritual reality. So just hang tight, hold fast, hang in there, don't move, keep the faith, stay on track. That's what we've been doing for the last 6 months or so, just reminding ourselves. And so in one of the ones that I thought was really in September 2022, we also talked about the white female is now awakening to the knowledge of knowing they were never part of the Constitution. They were chattel, they were enslaved, they were chattel, just as enslaved people were. And so now that spiritual truth is revealing itself and manifesting itself even now. So there's so much I haven't gotten to, but I'm going to stop here and just remind us that these are the things that are in the macro that we've been putting in the macro for years. And so when things don't seem to be happening the way we think they ought to, don't be concerned about that. Just trust that we are one with the universe, and the universe is us. We are the universe, and that things will, the spiritual truth will be manifested. So said all that to say, hang tight. More to come. Thanks.
No, thank you. First, I'll say thank you and applaud you for your notes and keeping up with stuff. That's amazing. That all of you remember all that in the great detail that you do. So anybody want to comment on what Barb said?
Well, I
Anybody?
applaud her. I agree with you. Yeah. Matter of fact, I'm anxious to hear more, because these are the things that we say, and we don't really pull it all together. You know, we see it individually as it happens, but we don't really pull it all together. And I think on the heels of what Barbara was saying, that the major thing out of all of that is the 164,000 white women who came together last week, acknowledging the African consciousness. That's exactly what it was, acknowledging the energy of empowerment of the African consciousness. I want us also to remember now that we're not just talking about Kamala Harris. She represents, she's a symbol of that African feminine energy that's beginning to show itself again in a physically manifested way. Does that make sense?
Did you look up that number? That 164? Does that ring a bell or anything? I know it equals 11. You know.
11. And we talked about 11 being the gateway. We talk about an entrance into something new. We are entering something totally different. What date was that? That will also speak to us, I'm sure. was that yes? That was Thursday night, was it not?
Refresh my memory, Thursday night.
164,000 ladies came together.
Okay, yeah.
I
I
think
think
so.
What did you say?
I said, I think so. It was Thursday.
What's the date on Thursday? Uh, 25th, that's 7?
25th.
Yeah, that's the 7. So all of these things are presenting themselves in a manner that is undeniable. When we talk about putting things in the macro,
Mhm.
if there has been any doubt or any question about the reality of that, I think this settles it. Because one of the things, as back to back that Barbara said, was when Kathy said that Biden would not finish his term, that in itself spoke volumes. And then when all of these white women came together, that also spoke volumes to it. And also what's resounding is that no one would have dreamed that Kamala Harris would have been where she is. But yet we talked about the way the universe does things does not look the way we think that it would look. It's always something that looks like it could never have taken place. And that is definitely true with the position that Kamala Harris is in at this very moment. So I'm appreciative for all of that. And I do believe that Kathy is on. So I don't think that was misspoken when you said that about Biden not finishing his term.
Do you remember it, Kathy? Do you remember what?
I have been, because Barbara had mentioned that to me she wanted me to send it to her again because I did send that lesson out to all of the teachers because I think it was, what was it? It was the end time, I think, that I was teaching on. And when I started doing the Gamantra, all of a sudden I got the political vision of everything. But I have gone back, Barbara, and then I tried to, Barbara, to find that lesson, and it's like it never took place. It's not on my computer. The hard copy I had for myself, I cannot find it. But I know that I sent that to all the teachers. So if anyone has it, please send it back to me because I can't even find it. But I know it involved a lot of numbers. I know that it involved the political scene that was happening at that time when Biden was elected and him not finishing his term either by death or just being removed. But I really cannot remember much more of it because it's been it's been 4 years. But I definitely want to see that lesson again as well, too.
I'll look for it afterwards and see if I have it, but because I do remember you sending it to me.
It may very well be like, the Bible where it's missing, and he shall bring them across the great river in chains.
Mm-hmm.
No longer there, remember?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember.
So that may be the same way. Which speaks volumes that we are indeed in a different space. And I know that sometimes we refer to as a different plane, but we were in a different spiritual space. And that also tells us how effective truth is in not only changing the mindset of people, but also moving us forward closer to the balance that is necessary for humanity to function properly, meaning function in the way that it was created to function. I'm done. And again, thanks, you guys.
Thank you. one of the things I was going to bring up as we started, I don't know if you guys have noticed, uh, there seemed scientists now finding different species that they thought were extinct, or finding other animals that they did not know exist in the earth. And that to me is amazing. And I don't think it's something separate from the timing of what's going on. What it says, what message it has, I don't know that, but I just thought that part was interesting as well. So don't know if anybody else has noticed that.
I have noticed it. Um, if you follow it closely, you see that the animals um, are different in engaging with humanity different as well. Our interaction with nature is much more, we're much more involved with the interactions of nature than we realize simply by desiring that to happen. So I think it's very, very important. Someone's about to say something?
I had the feeling it was sort of like they're coming out of hibernation, or they're coming out of hiding, they're revealing themselves from, maybe something that pushed them away, maybe man pushed them away, and they're coming back. It's time to bring themselves out again. And that's kind of the feeling I had, is almost like it's a hibernation kind of thing.
Um, in
But this
addition to
this
that,
this involves the ocean all the way, from water to land. I mean, it's just not just one particular animal.
well, in addition to that, 13,000 feet below the ocean, oxygen is being produced, and they don't know why.
Okay. Wow.
Below the surface of the ocean, 13,000 feet. So, and they don't know why. They call it dark oxygen. And it was so mind-boggling until they thought the equipment was wrong. So they actually sent it back to the manufacturer to have it recalibrated, but nothing was wrong with it.
Well, here's the thing. Now they're doing it where it started with the African woman and the Caucasian woman, and now they're going to do a joint one. And so who knows
Yes.
what's going to happen with it.
Right. You're absolutely right. I was talking to someone who was at the funeral that I did in DC. She was talking about how quickly it came to pass when I said to her, I said to them rather, that the African woman is on her throne. She was saying, it was amazing how quickly it came to pass within actually 2 weeks of that. So I say all that to say this: we have been talking about how things have sped up, and now what we're beginning to see, almost in the twinkling of an eye, what we are putting in the macro is being manifested, so everyone else can experience it as well.
Yeah.
And I think the idea of experience is more effective when it comes to spiritual manifestation than it is to see it. Because when we see it with our eyes, everything is in the eye of the beholder. But to experience it is a whole different thing. The energy that we are experiencing, we're not seeing it, we are experiencing it. And that is the difference in actually seeing it with our eyes. And that experience is being felt by everyone. And when I say everyone, I'm talking about by the Trumpites, everyone else. And that's why they're running scared. What I see in this have been shown in this is that the abolitionist slash liberal attitude, which is also racist, has been banished. And the slave attitude, the energy of slavery is in the process of being vanquished so that it can be experienced as well once it's done. And I do believe that it has already been done spiritually. And the reason I do believe it already been done spiritually is because of the fear that is permeating the environment of those who with this Project 2025 thing. I believe that that was the last straw. And if you read Project 2025, what you will see is that it is a repeat of those things that has happened in the past anyway. So we are not experiencing anything new in terms of what's happening. What we are doing is experiencing what has taken place, and now we have opportunity to make it right.
Yeah.
So we are just now in the throes of ending slavery in a manifested manner so everyone can experience it. Does that make sense, or any questions about that statement?
Yeah. Good morning, Pastor. Good morning, everyone. I just want to mention in reference to the number 11, which Pastor, you talked about a portal or gateway. Even in Barbara notes that I was able to look at, one of the notes that she mentioned was basically walking through the portal. And I think that, really impacted on my thought in reference to fear, people running, helter-skelter, just here, there, just running everywhere. But we're walking through the portal now. We're walking through the gateway. And I think that, we're seeing it as we need to, because I think sometimes in the past, people, again, just seem to be, not just confused, but I think in terms of just afraid or just, again, and that mindset of not being able to really appreciate, what, we're seeing with our eyes. So I was just thinking about that what Barbara wrote. And she had mentioned about walking through the water, and I believe that was on 11/11/11. And so I just wanted to mention that thought because I think in our society, we have been, people have been running, without a purpose. But I think walking is just awesome just to give thought to now as we are receiving this. I just wanted to share those thoughts. I'm done.
Thank you, George. Thank you. Yeah, I think all of that comes together. I think all of that fits where we are now. And I appreciate you guys kind of bringing out an understanding as to what's going on by you looking at what we've talked about in the past. I think a lot of it, it's amazing to see the accuracy and maybe even the spiritual influences that those words had, that we never look at it that way, of course. But yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And also, Ron, if I may, just speaking on 11/11, this number, they say is our connection with the spiritual plane, which determines our capacity to manifest our desires and wishes and to achieve our maximum, potential desire. So it's what we've been putting out there in the macro and seeing, like you say, the manifestations of it. But, again, this is just the power, and that, we're experiencing. So, again, I think it's just important that we just, as Barbara say, not just see, but be. So, again, I'm grateful for the conversation this morning.
Yeah. Thank you. Great observation. Thank you. Audrey, did you have something?
No, it was clarified. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Doesn't have to be on this. Do you have something else?
I want to go back to the oxygen that they found underwater.
Okay.
And the reason I want to go back to that is because
Pastor, can you explain it a little more detail on it, please?
okay, what we have known in the past is that oxygen is formed through photosynthesis by the sun. And we know that H2O is water. And we've known that there is oxygen in the water, but it also comes through photosynthesis. However, at the floor of the ocean, the production of oxygen at that level, at that depth, it's impossible for it to come through photosynthesis. And they really don't have a clear answer yet as to how it's being produced. However, greed has taken over because they found nickel, cobalt, and other minerals in the area that they found the oxygen, and there are plans to start mining it, which would upset the ecosystem. But as far as the oxygen is concerned, they call it dark oxygen, not because it's different than the oxygen that is on the surface of the earth or the surface of the water. They call it dark oxygen because of where it's found in the depths of the ocean. So Jess, I think it was like 2013 when they first recognized it, but it's just not beginning to be publicized more widely than it was during that period. So to think about that, the question becomes, if that's the case, what is the spiritual essence of that? Does it mean that it was possible for humanity to be amphibious? I don't have an answer to that.
Well, the one thing that came to my mind, I think, Nick, did you have something? But the one thing that came to my mind is they found different species of fish or marine life at the bottom of the ocean where they did not think life, because there was no oxygen. They found life there that they did not know exist. And I don't think that's a coincidence either. But anyway. Anybody?
Good morning. I think it's just the another example of the sort of way we influence the earth, that is allowing the earth to heal as we collectively heal our own relationship with each other and the creator. So there will always be something new that solves a problem that we have created if we solve the problems within ourselves that have been creating so much chaos, I think. So even with like them finding species they thought were extinct, and then finding, I remember some years ago they found like a giant coral reef in the Amazon River, I think, where they had no idea one even could exist. Things like that, I think, are a result of not only us exploring further, but us being able to correct the problems that we have created sort of in an unconscious way as we sort of move out of our own chaotic or spiritually ignorant state individually and collectively, I think.
Could another way of saying that, Nick, be that the earth is recreating itself?
Yeah.
That redemption is the moaning and groaning
Yeah,
of creation, waiting for the redemption of humanity.
exactly.
And the redemption of humanity is an impossibility without the embracing the energy of the African consciousness, especially that of femininity.
Yeah.
I think no matter how bad it seems to get, all of it can be corrected, brought back to a place of balance, and brought back to healing, regardless of how bad it gets, as long as we are able to continue to process or continually seek the spiritual source of our own sense of self, individually and collectively, because that is the channel through which all sort of balancing or healing energy and consciousness
Mhm.
arrives into this earth realm experience, I believe.
I believe you're right.
Yeah.
If we could not heal it, then all of us are doomed anyway. So what's the point? You know, so
Right.
I believe that wholeheartedly. I also believe that we are to protect the universe. They found on the floor of Mercury rather. They found diamonds that's 10 miles deep beneath the surface of Mercury. So you know what the plans are. I guess the De Beers are going to Mercury now, huh?
Yeah.
We can
Yeah.
remember too that during COVID, how quickly the earth sort of revitalized itself
Mm-hmm.
when the people were out of the way. So yeah, that's another example.
And it may very well argue be not only an example, but showing us what the reality is with balance. You know, this is a picture of what you
Yeah.
ought to see, that kind of thing.
I love this discussion. One of the things we talked about too in the last few weeks has been fear and that anxiety of here we go again kind of thing. And I hope we have addressed that to the degree that everybody feels more comfortable. I found Barbara's words this morning to be very comforting, to talk about the history of what we've discussed and our sincere desire to hear and understand truth and to become what the Creator intended for man to be, and even to transform from our humanity to spiritual beings and being one. All of that was brought into that kind of synopsis, I guess, of what we've done in the last couple of years, a few years, and all that tied together was very comforting. I wanted to add this, something I said to Pastor that I think kind of comes into this part now. I've been a lot of stuff out there on history now. I know if you noticed that as well, but something I noticed was that there have been several articles talking about the African populating or having gone to continents, this continent, before there was a North America, whatever. There were Africans here first. And what they have concluded is the African populated or has walked every continent. The African has been there first. So if you look at the earth and the travel and the consciousness thereof, what does that say? How does that tie into this discussion? Or what do you see in that?
Two things.
Okay.
One, have you not noticed that fear dissipated when Kamala Harris put at the top of the ticket?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Fear just dissipated because of the African femininity, the protection, the authority, the place where this femininity, this power, this energy has existed from the beginning. It was almost like when she was put at the top of the ticket, the wings of the hen spread and took to herself the children that came from her womb. I'm not talking about the woman. I'm talking about the spirituality of it. And there's a calmness that took place. There was a dissipation of fear, not just in America, but around the world as well. That feeling expressed itself in a different way. God, you slipped me, Ron. What did you say just now?
About the African having been the first on throughout the whole world, not just yeah.
See it differently than I have in the past. We've seen it through looked at it rather through birth. The woman, the African womb, bringing into the earth every human that's on the earth.
Mm-hmm.
Suppose that it is not so much of a birth as we think about a birth, but suppose that is another way of speaking to birth, spiritual birth, meaning that the goddess created all the people on the earth. First came the consciousness, the spiritual essence into this earth, right?
Mm-hmm.
And from that spiritual essence, from that consciousness of the African consciousness, from the different types of people, the different groups of people worldwide, as a result of the African traveling throughout the earth in terms of what you said about every continent, in the same way that Abraham, wherever your feet trod, that would be, the nation, that kind of thing. But that's not a physical thing as much as it is a spiritual reality. Suppose for a moment that the redemption is not so much for the change as it is for the acknowledgement of who we are, acknowledging, embracing the African consciousness that was brought into let me put it this way, the consciousness of Okebelon. Acknowledging and embracing that is what actually brings about the change, as opposed to us talking about changing the hearts of European mindsets. But it is not that changes the heart. It is the embracing of the reality of Okebelon and what it truly represents. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Thank you, sir. So I believe where we are now is not on the sidelines waiting for racism or whatever the isms are. They've already, that's been taken care of. And with the advent of our embracing the reality and of the energy of Okebelon, and the reality that even with what we have perceived to be, or what were and still are, hardships in the human sense of the word of hardships, we were the nation born on the ocean because this part of the world was supposed to be the epicenter of creation. Epicenter creation began in Africa, but in Okebelon, but the recreation of humanity. This is the spiritual laboratory for that recreation of humanity by humanity. Am I making sense? By virtue of talking about this being possibly the laboratory, this country, so that the mindsets that are diametric to each other, excuse me, can come in contact with each other to the extent that there is pressure to recreate the essence of what humanity is supposed to be. And it is in that regard, when we talk about being co-creators, it is in that regard that co-creation takes place, not in conjunction with our creator, because we are creator, but co-creation, meaning that the human mindset coupled with the spiritual essence of our being is what brings into existence this new creation. Is that clear?
Mhm. And even
That's what I'm thinking. Go ahead, Nick.
I was gonna add, and the European also had their role to play in the sort of great spiritual experiment. As we've talked about, it's just that whenever there is the choice to act in a selfish way, it increases the struggle and the chaos that must be dealt with along the journey to recreate the harmony that was in the beginning. So had that like tension or the place of meeting for the two apparent opposites in the earth, it could have been a much more harmonious interaction and place had Europeans in particular not chosen to be so selfish in that interaction. In some other universe, in some other planet Earth, when the Europeans first showed up, they listened and rather than attempt to project their own selfishness everywhere they went, they took a harmonious path. And on that planet, the return to a sense of unity went much smoother. The collective spiritual awakening that we are all destined to experience went much quicker. But that's just, I wanted to bring that up because everyone here is participating in that process, whether they know it or not. And that includes, of course, the European mindset and people who are ensnared or entrapped by that, in the sense of it being materialistic, selfish, etc. And whether they know it or not, and as we've just been discussing, they are starting to recognize it on an unconscious level. They are also meant to participate and are participating in this process of reawakening on a collective level. Anyway, thank you.
I think that what you're saying was birth. We talked about how the white female, as Barbara mentioned earlier, was not included in the Constitution, right? Suppose that when those females came together, those 164,000 came together, suppose that was the womb that birthed a new consciousness for the European. Joining with the consciousness of the mindset of a Kabbalah, by virtue of the support that they have, that they are in the process of rendering for the authority of the African woman in terms of the femininity.
How many women was it?
164,000.
164,000.
11.
How many people does it say in the book of Revelation get into? Isn't that number?
144,000.
144. Okay. That's what I was remembering.
So, but I do think that represented a womb. If you think about the 11, right? Suppose that 11, the space between those ones is a womb. It's a birth canal, and that representative consciousness has been birthed into the earth, and that even though there are those who are saying that the excitement is here now, but it won't be there, it's going to wear off. Not understanding that this is not just excitement. This is life energy that we are experiencing. And when we really put our minds to it and think about this life energy that we're experiencing, there is a sense of oneness, of unicity, of unity, of humanity that we have not experienced. And people are comparing it to the period with Obama. No, this is totally different than what happened with Obama. Obama was totally political. You could feel the politics in that. This is different. It doesn't even feel like it's political. The feel and the experience is spiritual, and therein lies the difference. And there is no such thing as the newness of spiritual awakening fading. That doesn't happen. That's a non-starter. So those who are putting their eggs in that basket they have a hole in the basket, because it's not going to happen. I see it becoming more and more prevalent. Now, the mentioning of the African females, or the energy of Kabbalah in the feminine way, and the energy of the European feminine coming together, and a process to bring into fruition not just the African woman being on the stage, but the African energy being pervading throughout the earth, or dominating the earth environment itself. I do believe that the coming together of these two feminine entities would bring about more of a sense of unity, more of an understanding of the spiritual nature of what's happening than we've ever seen in the face of the earth since Ptolemy sat on that throne in Kemet.
Very much agree.
I think all this.
Barbara,
Uh-huh.
I just got one more thing. Okay. Well, no, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say
Good.
like Evelyn. In July of 21, and Kathy, I must be getting closer to finding your note. In July of 21, at the end of one of our lessons, when we were talking about, let's see, I think, Pastor, you were talking about presidents at the time, and you're talking about Adams, VP defeated him, blah, 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 and all of that. And Andrew Johnson reversed the 40 acres in the Mio decision, blah, blah, blah. Trump tried to destroy voter rights and Obamacare while in office, just like, okay. But at the very end of that conversation, we said, stay focused. Harris may become president if Biden doesn't finish his term, either through death or health. That's something we said. This is in July 21. Oh, there you are. Thanks.
Thank you.
I think all of that ties in, and we don't quite. I hope by now we see ourselves in the midst of all of this, because you're right. The people have no way to, nothing to hang on to as far as saying this has happened before, or I this reminds me of this or that. Obama is the closest thing that they have. But this time is completely different. And I think there are some out there who are experiencing that difference, but they don't know what to equate it to or what to do with that feeling. And so it just feels like excitement in the air. But that's where we come in. And the things that have been outlined today, especially at the beginning of this discussion, the things that we've talked about in the past, we're seeing now come into play, come into being. And so as Barbara concluded, stay the course. We know what we need. We know what we want. We know what this all means. And to look at this and to say that the whole universe is in our hands, not meaning that in an arrogant way, but the people are feeling a desire for change. They're feeling desperation. The way this country has looked at women and tried to control women, and as you said, women have never been a part of the Constitution. I think that realization has hit everybody now. Hit the Caucasian woman, and so this sincere desire for change, this sincere desire to see something that is real, something that resembles what life should be. They're putting it on politics. They're looking at it through this election, but it's much deeper than that. It's much deeper than that. So the course that we started is what everybody is jumping on that train now. And although they may not know what it looks like, it is important to us to keep our focus, keep our thoughts, keep away from fear, even if you have to cut the television off, and rely on each other. And I again, I applaud Barb for her timing and her detailed notes, because that just fell right into place today. But thank you. Anybody have anything else to say? Or
I have a question.
okay.
What is the hand of God? And the reason why I asked that question is because of the way things are moving. And are we the hands of God, the authority? That's my question.
I believe that the hand represents authority. It's not the authority of God as much as it is the authority of the goddess. The feminine energy of Vocabulon. I do not believe that God exists in the form that we have been taught in the past. The existence is different. It is impossible to tell someone that they are to be in command or to dominate an area, not mean dominated with brutal power, but bring it into line with spirituality. So when you talk about the authority of God, I see when I talk about the African woman or the femininity of Vocabulon being on the throne, I see that as the authority of the consciousness of Vocabulon, meaning that all of that authority is centered in the environment of the earth in conjunction with the rhythm of the universe itself. So there is no separation there, but at the same time, the universe does not move if things are not in order within the confines of the earth. And by virtue of embracing the goddess of Vocabulon, that authority has been restored to the place where it was supposed to be from the beginning. And that is why we are seeing, or experiencing rather, we are experiencing now, and also experiencing a quote unquote new beginning. Definitely, I hope that helps into the rest of you as well.
Yeah, it does.
So we are in that sense, Evelyn. I don't see us meaning on this phone only being the hand of God. That's what I'm trying to say. I see an overarching authority, and that overarching authority is femininity. Because if you think about it, if you look at it biologically, the female uses the female is able to use both sides of her brain at will, and that in itself speaks volumes about the femininity itself and the authority thereof, wherein that's a struggle for the masculinity to do that. And that has been proven biologically, as well as knowing it from a spiritual, within the confines of a spiritual context. Thank you.
Okay, and I got one more question. As Barbara said what she said earlier. But anyway, what was the purpose and why was Netanyahu here in the States? What was his purpose?
He had to submit to a woman.
Oh, gosh. Wow. A black woman, an African woman?
Yes. So did Biden. There's so much Trump. All the energies that has been pervasive in this earth that is causing that's wreaking havoc over the earth has to submit itself for repurposing. It has to submit itself to the goddess, to God, to the energy of Kabbalah, feminine, more particularly the feminine energy of Kabbalah. Spiritual energy of Kabbalah. I said physical, but I didn't mean that.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So, Barbara, I think I'm done. Don't say that, Evan.
Do you all remember some years ago when Obama, I think he was speaking in front of it was like some powerful women's assembly. I forget exactly what it was, but he was speaking in front of like a lot of women. And the presidential seal on the podium fell off. And that was not a coincidence. And that was a sort of very sort of sign of the times, if you were paying attention, energetically, spiritually significant, symbolic occurrence. Because the power in the earth is always directed by femininity. That's why in both sort of Hebrew and even Sanskrit, the power, like Shakti or Shekinah, is feminine. Thank
I
you.
agree with you.
Great observation. Yeah.
The kind I was saying, this is not the authority in the earth. We knew that European mindset wasn't, but this African man or this masculinity is not the authority in the earth. And now we see retrospectively the power in that. But I do remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Hasn't happened before that, didn't happen again after that.
No, you're right. I mean, think about this. Here we are. A vice president is speaking publicly about a genocidal maniac, Netanyahu, and the public speech or the public policy that she put forth was different than that of the president. and there was no pushback. And then in saying what she said, I will not be silent when it comes to the plight of Gaza. That speaks volume. Think about that. This is, and then to go to Trump and tell Trump that he disliked what she said and not say it to her. That in itself is cowardice. And at the same time, it speaks volumes to that mindset. The greatest fear that European mindset has is the fear of the consciousness of the African woman. Always have been. And that fear has not been because they felt like the African woman was going to kill them or destroy them. It was because they knew deep inside in their knowing there was something that showed them that this is the true power in the earth. And this is the only power in the earth that can bring balance. It has to be birthed through femininity. And honestly, at being a representative of masculinity in the earth, in terms of the physical features and the biological aspects, I have no problem with that at all. That simply means that we don't have to lead anything. We just like, okay, what you want us to do type thing. That's a burden lifted as far as I'm concerned anyway. So have at it, ladies. Do what you do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If there's no problems, I just want to sit.
That's it. That's all I want to do. Yeah. Have no issues with that whatsoever. And I do believe that if we have issues with that, the question becomes, what are your issues? Is it because you are not comfortable with who you are? You want to be in a space that you're not supposed to be in, which means that you're part of the problem. So
I have one more question. And Barbara, you were right, but I got one more question.
one more question.
Barbara made a statement. BJ, I don't know when you had your accident. I don't know what year that was. And remember you told us to pay attention. Was that pre-COVID during that time? Yeah. Okay, and now my question to you was, if you can remember, what made you feel that? For you to say what you said, yeah. That's my question. What made me feel that to pay attention? To say that to the family, yes. Oh, because it was profound. My car was about to flip. I was on a curve, and I clearly was going too fast. And out of nowhere resonated within me, pay attention. Because I was driving, I was thinking about something else. This is pay attention. It's like you will get off your path, and my path was, wow, I was headed to the railroad track and flipping over. So that's what it was. It resonated within me, and so that's when in me I knew that I can't get distracted. I got to stay on track. I got to pay attention. So that's where that came from. That still speaks volumes to this day. We're to pay attention, right? That's all I wanted to know. Okay, thank you. I did find your notes, Kathy, although they're written in my handwriting. Okay. Okay. But what you talked about, you were teaching on Revelation 13. And you were talking about the leopard and the bear and the lion and all of those. And then you were talking about you said something to the effect that we are the human that speaks truth in the earth realm. You talked about the 10 horns and what that meant, the 7 heads, and the beast of the sea and the beast from the earth. And then you were saying the beast of the sea is religion, that the 10 crowns represent supreme authority in the land, i.e. the presidency, the king, whoever. And 10 horns deal with the leadership of this nation. We're dealing with a government and religion. And government and religion become the beast and the dragon. You're talking about, you said something, and Kathy, I may not have it all straight because I was just simply trying to listen and write at the same time. So 7 heads means completeness. And you said the last 7 men in the seat of power in this nation, starting with Ronald Reagan, the last 7 men in the seat of power equated to 40 years. And you said the time of the beast is 42 years, meaning at the end of the 42, there should be a shift, a change. And so Ronald Reagan served 8 years, Bush 4, the George Bush, Clinton 8 years, George W. Bush 8 years, Obama 8 years, and Trump 4 years. So that equaled 40 years, I believe. And then Biden was 2021 through question mark. And that's I think that's the 2 years that you were talking about. That at the end of those 2 years, things will begin to change. So it does flow precisely along with what we've been talking about in terms of this major transitional change in everything, in government, in religion, in everything. Thanks.
Barbara, thank you for sharing that. As you were speaking, it started to come back to me because I knew I was talking about the mark of the beast, end times, and what the numbers and knowing the end time signs that we needed to be aware of. And I knew it was real involved because the way it came to me, I wrote it and sent it to you guys because I'd never received a lesson like that ever before. And I was really like, wow, this is new to me to see so much and to almost predict what's coming. And that's why I sent it to the teachers for you guys to weigh in on it with me, because it made me a little uncomfortable, but I knew what I heard and I knew what I knew what I knew. Let me put it that way. I knew I got that from the other side. And so for you to find it, I'm still looking for it because I know I sent pages and pages to you guys because it flowed and I wrote it in a narrative and sent it to the teachers. But yes, that's exactly what it was. That is my lesson. And now I really want to go back and try to find it too and read it. And because I knew it went hand in glove with what we were experiencing right now. So thank you so much for sharing that. I can't wait to find it again now. But thank you.
You're welcome.
I agree. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Well, a lot has been said, and maybe a good chance to catch our breath here and kind of ponder it. If you have any questions tomorrow. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for the discussion.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.